Hi, my name's Emma and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score and you're killing it.
You're my library, always open for business. Coffee. Welcome to the second episode in my monthly book releases series thing. I've decided that this month I'm going to talk only about the books that I find interesting because there are just so many books coming out that it's impossible to talk about all of them, and I still have a ton to talk about because a lot of books are interesting to me because I like a lot of different genres. So we're just gonna hop right in. There is one book that I'm interested in that's coming out on March 1st, and it's called Honor Code by Kiersey Burkhart, and it is a YA contemporary novel that has 4.67 stars on Goodreads, and that's from 21 ratings. It's about a girl at an elite academy who will do anything necessary to stay in the good graces of the popular people. And it seems like it might address the dangers of hazing in social organizations, which is super relevant because frats. There are several books coming out March 6th that I find really interesting. The first is I'll Be Your Blue Sky by Marissa de los Santos. And this is fiction, family life, women's fiction. It has 4.18 stars, and that's out of 76 ratings. On the weekend of her wedding, Claire Hobbs meets an elderly woman named Edith Heron. During the course of a single conversation, Edith gives Claire the courage to break off her engagement. 3 weeks later, Claire learns that Edith has died and left her the Blue Sky house, a house on the edge of a bay in Delaware. There's more to this house than meets the eye. This sounds like super interesting to me, just like the mystical old woman who leaves you a house on a bay. Like, I don't know. The next is The Witch Doesn't Burn in This One by Amanda Lovelace, which I actually read an arc of. I gave the book 3.5 stars. It's the sequel to The Princess Saves Herself in This One, and it's definitely good. I think that if you really liked The Princess Saves Herself in This One, you will also really like The Witch Doesn't Burn in This One. I think The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one is more political than The Princess Saves Herself. It addresses rape culture more, which were the parts that I was like, yes. Get 'em. I'm not the biggest fan of Amanda Lovelace's poetry. It just seems a little bit surface level when compared to like Ruby Core. Just putting that out there. If you liked A Princess Saves Herself, you'll like this one. It has 4.08 stars on Goodreads, and that's out of 320 ratings. Next is Girls Burn Brighter by Soba Rowe. And this is a searing, electrifying debut novel set in India and America about a once-in-a-lifetime friendship between two girls who are driven apart but never stop trying to find one another again. I've seen this one going around on Bookstagram, so I thought I would mention it. It has 4.3 stars on Goodreads, and that's out of 137 ratings. This is another one that I've seen going around a lot. It's Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and this is YA fantasy. It has 4.55 stars and 525 ratings. And the synopsis is, Tomi Adeyemi conjures a stunning world of dark magic and danger in her West African-inspired fantasy debut, perfect for fans of Lee Bardugo and Saba Tahir. Next is Speak No Evil by Uzodinma Iriela, and this is literary fiction about a gay man named Nero who is the son of two conservative Nigerian parents. LGBTQ representation and Nigerian culture sounds pretty cool. It has 3.98 stars out of 63 ratings. Next is The Final Six by Alexandra Monier. This is a YA sci-fi survival story. It has 3.91 stars out of 46 ratings. When Leo, an Italian championship swimmer, and Naomi, a science genius from California, are two of the 24 teens drafted into the International Space Training Camp, their lives are forever altered. After erratic climate change has made Earth a dangerous place to live, the fate of the population rests on the shoulders of the final six who will be scouting a new planet. This one sounds amazing. Okay, the next one is The Women's Hour, The Great Fight to Win the Vote by ELAINE Weiss. And this is nonfiction women's history. The nail-biting climax of one of the greatest political victories in American history, the down and dirty campaign to get the last state to ratify the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote. Sounds like something that as a woman I should know about, right? It has 4.75 stars out of 8 ratings, so that's like pretty good. The next one is Blood, Water, Paint by Joy McCullough. This is a YA historical fiction. It has 4.58 stars out of 67 reviews, and I'm just gonna read you the whole synopsis. A debut novel based on the true story of the iconic painter Artemisia Gentileschi. Her mother died when she was 12, and suddenly Artemisia had a stark choice: a life as a nun in a convent or a life grinding pigment for her father's paint. She chose paint. By the time she was 17, Artemisia did more than grind pigment. She was one of Rome's most talented painters, even if no one knew her name. But Rome in 1610 was a city where men took what they wanted from women, and in the aftermath of rape, Artemisia faced another terrible choice: a life of silence or a life of truth, no matter the cost. He will not consume my every thought. I am a painter. I will paint. I will show you what a woman can do. Snaps! Yeah, I'm into it. And it would be a cool one to read because I'm going to Rome this summer, so it'd be really cool to read it before I go to Rome and be like, because she really was a painter there, so it'd be cool because, you know, culture. Okay, next is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, and this is a YA novel in verse about a young girl in Harlem who discovers slam poetry as a way to understand her mother's religion and her own relationship with the world. It has 4.64 stars and 192 ratings. Next is If I Die Tonight by Alyssa Galen. This is a thriller. It's described as a dose of Big Little Lies or Stranger Things, an absorbing, addictive tale of psychological suspense. So late one night in quiet Hudson Valley town of Havenkill, a distraught woman stumbles into the police station and lives are changed forever. Amy N., once a darling of the 80s pop music scene, claims that a teenage boy stole her car, then ran over another young man who'd rushed to help. As Leah Miller's life hangs in the balance, the events of that fateful night begin to come into focus. But is everything as it seems? Dun dun dun. It has 4.01 stars and 102 ratings. Next is The Sandman by Lars Kepler. This is a psychological thriller. It has 4.23 stars and 9,195 ratings, so it's doing pretty good. During a cold winter night in Stockholm, a man is found walking alongside a railway bridge suffering from hypothermia and Legionella. After he's rushed to the hospital, it's discovered that according to a death certificate, the man has been dead for over 7 years. He is believed to be a victim of notorious serial killer Jurek Walter, who was arrested years ago by Detective Inspector Juna Linna and sentenced to a life of total isolation in forensic psychiatric care. As Juna Linna investigates where the dead man has been all these years, some unexpected evidence leads to the reopening of a cold case. Danger is imminent and someone needs to get under the skin of the serial killer fast, as they are running out of time. Yes, it sounds really cool. Next, this might be one that a lot of my theater friends are interested in, or film friends. Stealing the Show: How Women Are Revolutionizing Television by Joy Press. This is a non-fiction about performing arts and television. From a leading cultural journalist, a definitive look at the rise of female showrunner, a new golden era of television. So basically it's about women in the industry, which is cool. It has 3.85 stars and 13 ratings. Next up, The Last Wave by Gillian Best. This is literary fiction with 4.04 stars and 75 ratings. A beautifully rendered family drama set in Dover, England between the 1940s and the present day, The Last Wave follows the life of Martha, a woman who has swum the English Channel 10 times, and the complex relationship she has with her husband, her children, and her close friends. I like that this woman is swimming the channel. Ooh, another one that sounds incredible. She Caused a Riot: 100 Unknown Women Who Built Cities, Sparked Revolutions, and Massively Crushed It by Hannah Jewell. This is nonfiction women's history. When you learn about women in history, it's hard not to wonder, why do they all seem so prim and proper? The truth is, you've probably not been told the whole story. Also, mostly male historians keep leaving out or glossing over some of the most badass women who ever walked the surface of this planet. But fret not, Former BuzzFeed senior writer and Washington Post pop culture host Hannah Jewell has got you covered. In She Caused a Riot, Hannah will spill the tea on the women with impressive kill counts, the women who wrote dangerous things, the women who fought empires and racists, the women who knew how to have a good time, and the women who punched Nazis, metaphorically, but also not. Sounds pretty cool. This has 3.98 stars and 121 ratings. Next up is Whiskey and Ribbons by Lisa Cross Smith, and this is labeled as African American fiction. It has 4.63 stars and 16 ratings. Whiskey and Ribbons is told in 3 intertwining melodic voices. In the vein of Yo-Yo Moy's After You, Whiskey and Ribbons explores the life that continues beyond loss, with a complicated brotherly dynamic reminiscent of Elizabeth Strout's The Burgess Boys. It's a meditation on grief, hope, motherhood, brotherhood, and surrogate fatherhood. Above all, it's a novel about what it means and whether it's possible to heal. It sounds really cool. Next is Happiness by Aminata Forna, and this is literary fiction. It has 3.9 stars and 52 ratings. It takes place in London. A fox makes its way across Waterloo Bridge. The distraction causes 2 pedestrians to collide. Jean, an American studying the habits of urban foxes, and Attila, a Ghanaian psychiatrist who's there to deliver a keynote speech. From this chance encounter, Aminata Forna's unerring powers of observation show how, in the midst of the rush of a great city, lie numerous moments of connection. There are several books coming out on March 13th that might be interesting. First is Obsidio, which is the 3rd book in the ELAINE files, so I know a lot of you will be interested in that. It is YA science fiction, of course. It has 4.73 stars on Goodreads out of 113 ratings. And if you don't know what the ELAINE files is, it's basically a sci-fi space adventure story that is told mostly in like transcripts and emails and stuff. So next is Time Bomb by Joel Carbonneau. Don't know how to pronounce that name. This is a YA fiction thriller. It has 4.01 stars and 68 ratings. This one is sadly relevant. A congressman's daughter who has to be perfect, a star quarterback with a secret, a guy who's tired of being ignored, a clarinet player who's done trying to fit in, an orphaned rebel who wants to teach someone a lesson, a guy who wants people to see him, not his religion. They couldn't be more different, but before the morning's over, they'll all be trapped in a school that's been rocked by a bombing. When they hear that someone inside is the bomber, they'll also be looking to one another for answers. That makes me sad for our sad, sad country. Get it together. Next is a collection of short stories called This Time Might Be Different, Stories of Maine by ELAINE Ford. This is a collection of stories in which deftly drawn characters contemplate difficult choices. A young girl might have coffee with a stranger, a guy might decide to rob the local laundromat, or a widow might get in the car and just keep driving. That synopsis sounds so cool to me. I don't know why, but I really want to read these short stories. They just sound like little slices of life, but like weird slices of life, and I'm into it. It has no stars, no ratings. No one's read it yet, but it sounds awesome to me. Next is one I've seen going around a lot as well, and that is The Neighbors by Hannah Mary McKinnon. This is a suspense thriller. It has 4.33 stars and 40 ratings. In 1992, a car accident kills a young man and forever changes the lives of 3 people. Now, 20 years later, they'll all come to regret the choices they've made that day, as the secrets and lies they've told to protect each other become the very thing that tear their lives apart. Next is The Natashas by Yelena Moskovich. This is literary fiction. It has 3.37 stars out of 81 ratings. Beatrice, a solitary young jazz singer from a genteel Parisian suburb, meets a mysterious woman named Paulina. Paulina visits her at night and whispers in her ear. There are people who leave their bodies, and their bodies go on living without them. These people are named Natasha. I'm sorry, what? I just have to know. I have to know now. This next one sounds fun. Why Mommy Drinks by Gil Sims. This is fiction humor. It has 4.18 stars out of 1,778 ratings. Boy child Peter, girl child Jane, and Daddy have exciting adventures with Mummy. Daddy likes gadgets, Peter and Jane like starting fires, trying to kill each other, and driving Mummy to drink. Written from the point of view of an exhausted Mummy at the end of the day, it's honest, it's funny, and it's a little bit sweary. Sounds great. This is interesting. I was surprised to see this on the lists of book releases, but this is Three Somebodies, Plays About Notorious Dissidents by Kat Georges. These are plays, this is theater. It's a collection of 3 plays about notorious rebels, including a radical feminist and Warhol attacker. 4.4 stars out of 5 ratings. Alright, next is The Red Word by Sarah Henstra. This is literary fiction. It is a smart, dark, and take-no-prisoners look at rape culture and the extremes to which ideology can go. The Red Word is a campus novel like no other. What I gathered from the full synopsis is that this is basically about feminists on a campus taking on really problematic frat houses on a campus. So I think it's one specific frat house. So it's the feminists versus the frat house. And they both have extreme viewpoints on each side. It has 4.0 stars and 27 ratings. Next is The City Where We Once Lived by Eric Barnes. And I actually read an early copy of this and it's really good. I gave it 4 stars. It's just really beautiful. I read the synopsis for you. In a near future where climate change has severely affected weather and agriculture, the north end of an unnamed city has long been abandoned in favor of the neighboring south end. Aside from the scavengers steadily stripping the empty city to its bones, only a few thousand people remain, content to live quietly among the crumbling metropolis. Many, like the narrator, are there to try to escape the demons of their past. He spends his time observing and recording the decay around him, attempting to bury memories of what he has lost. The City Where We Once Live is a haunting novel of the near future that combines a prescient look at how climate change and industrial flight will shape our world with a deeply personal story of one man running from his past. With glowing prose, Eric Barnes brings into sharp focus questions of how we come to call a place home and what is our capacity for violence when that home becomes threatened. Interesting. It has 4.13 stars on Goodreads out of 8 ratings. I am one of them. It's really good. Next up is a memoir. It is Apocalypse Child, A Life in End Times by FLOR Edwards. For the first 13 years of her life, FLOR Edwards grew up in the confines of a religious sect known as the Children of God, an outgrowth of the 1960s counterculture founded in California in 1968. The group's nomadic existence was based on the belief that, as God's chosen people, they would be saved in the impending apocalypse that would envelop the rest of the world in 1993. I didn't know about that at all. That sounds pretty interesting. It has 4.5 stars and 4 ratings. Next is The Feed by Nick Carl Window. This is a science fiction apocalyptic novel. It has 3.5 stars and 117 ratings. It makes us. It destroys us. The feed is everywhere. It can be accessed by anyone at any time. Every interaction, every emotion, every image can be shared through it. The internet? How do you find someone in a world devoid of technology, and what happens when you can no longer trust that your loved ones are really who they claim to be? Finally, moving on to books being released on March 20th. First off is Every Note Played by Lisa Genova. Yay, Lisa Genova. This is fiction. It is about a concert pianist, Richard, who receives standing ovations from audience all over the world, but now Richard has ALS and his entire right arm is paralyzed. His fingers are impotent, still, devoid of possibility. The loss of his hands feels like a death, a loss of true love, a divorce, his divorce. He knows his left arm will go next. That's really quite sad. It has 4.43 stars and 183 ratings. Next is Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles. This has 4.25 stars and 71 ratings. When Marvin Johnson's twin Tyler goes to a party, Marvin decides to tag along to keep an eye on his brother. But what starts as harmless fun turns into a shooting, followed by a police raid. The next day, Tyler has gone missing and it's up to Marvin to find him. But when Tyler is found dead, a video leaked online tells an even more chilling story. Tyler has been shot and killed by a police officer. Terrified as his mother unravels and mourns a brother who is now a hashtag, Marvin must learn what justice and freedom really mean. Again, get it together, America. Next is Hot Mess by Emily Belden. This is described as a combination of Sweet Bitter and The Devil Wears Prada. It's set in the trendy Chicago restaurant scene. It has 4.0 stars and 16 ratings. Next is Wildwood by Eleanor Florence. This is women's fiction. Basically, this is about a woman whose mother dies, and in order to receive her inheritance, she has to spend 1 year in an abandoned off-the-grid farmhouse in the remote backwoods of northern Alberta. Sounds interesting. It's 4.49 stars and 35 ratings. Next is Stray City by Chelsea Johnson. This is an anti-romantic comedy. This is about a lesbian from a Catholic family. Sounds like the play that I'm putting on at my school. Did I say it has 4.38 stars and 68 ratings? The cover of this one is gorgeous. The Italian Teacher by Tom Rackman. Rome, 1955. What makes an artist? In The Italian Teacher, Tom Rackman displays a nuanced understanding of 20th century art and its demons, vultures, and chimeras? Don't know what that means. It has 3.92 stars and 50 ratings. Moving on to books coming out on March 27th. We're nearing the end, folks. We really are. First, I'm not interested in this one, but some of you might be. It is I Have Lost My Way by Gail Forman. It's a YA contemporary. It has 4.08 stars and 66 ratings. It's basically about 3 strangers who get thrown together. Next is The Other Mother by Carol Goodman. This is a thriller about a single mother on the run with her daughter, and they're running from an abusive husband. She befriends another woman, but soon learns that this friendship will come at a cost. It has 3.88 stars and 57 ratings. And last, but certainly not least, is Tangerine by Christine Mengen. This is a historical fiction mystery thriller novel. It has 3.75 stars and 157 ratings. The last person Alice Sherpley expected to see since arriving in Tangier with her new husband was Lucy Mason. After the accident at Bennington, the two friends, once inseparable roommates, haven't spoken in over a year. But there Lucy was, trying to make things right and return to their old rhythms. So those are the many books that sound interesting to me coming out in March. It's nice to know I'm never gonna run out of books to read. Also a little sad to know I will never be able to read them all. There you go. I hope that you have found at least one book that you're interested in this video. Please let me know if you plan on picking any of these up, or if you have found a different book that's coming out in March that you are super excited about. If not, just please like and subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified whenever I post new videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Mwah! It is a Tuesday morning.